How's it going, guys? Always good to see you. So, I just got back from a trip and it got me thinking because I saw a lot of ATMs, Bitcoin ATMs, and I was actually surprised how many there were, which just goes to show the popularity of crypto. Now, this is not a pro-crypto video, it's not an anti-crypto video, but it got me thinking why so many people keep falling for crypto scams. And at the end of the day, it got me thinking why people were initially attracted to crypto in the beginning, why people were initially attracted at all. So as I'm sitting there pondering the popularity of these ATMs, how many people could actually be using them, I actually did see 2 people use the ATMs while I got gas. So I find that pretty interesting, and I thought I would see a lot less than 2 people use the ATM while I simply pumped gas. So kind of impressive. So of course, a lot of people have woken up to basically scams in the crypto sphere, all the way back to the NFT craze. At the same time, we see that a lot of governments in the world are basically trying out CBDCs, dipping their hands, well, maybe testing the waters for central bank digital currencies, which frankly, anyone who knows anything about crypto, Bitcoin, or money, it is a big, big no-no. And a lot of big players are calling for cashless societies, including our favorite Charles Schwab and the World Economic Forum, which of course makes it that much more suspicious. Which brings me to my main point, which is why I think people are initially attracted to crypto or Bitcoin. Okay, in all honesty, a big part of it is making a quick buck, right? The promise of investing in something that is going to be worth more in the future. Just like Bitcoin going from less than a penny to now being worth something around $25,000, $26,000 at the time of this recording. So people want to make a quick buck and they think that the crypto is the way. And of course, they all get scammed. So I've also suffered scams in the crypto world, therefore I'm not immune. But I learned my lesson, or at least I think I learned my lesson. We'll see. But anyways, why would people put their hard-earned money in anything resembling digital currency that basically anyone, literally anyone, can just print out of thin air? And therein lies, I think, the big answer. And the big answer is that people just don't trust the financial system anymore. So when it comes to their personal finances, people are worried. People are beginning to question the legitimacy of a lot of things that we're told. So I remember when banks were getting bailed out back in 2008, the very crooks who basically collapsed the economy, they were the ones who benefited the most. They were the ones who got bailed out. Therefore, a lot of people have a mistrust, a major mistrust of our financial system. On top of that, banks basically print money out of thin air. So of course, the big banks are basically a racket, right? How in the world can somebody or a group of people or a group of corporations basically hold the power to loan people money? And where do they get this money? Well, they get it out of thin air, right? The money printer. So they're able to loan this money at a high interest rate. You owe them money. So you owe them money. A particular group of people is able to make money out of nothing, out of basically handling money. In crypto, the same thing is happening. For example, WorldCoin is just the perfect illustration. We see people lining up to get their irises scanned to receive some of this fake money, this funny money, and they're able to exchange this crypto funny money from WorldCoin to the US dollar. Now I know that some people are thinking, well, the US dollar is also funny money. Well, it may be a little bit of funny money, but it's still the world's reserve currency. Over 90% of world transactions are conducted in the US dollar. So this funny money has actual value, even if we think that value is unfair. Nonetheless, a lot of people don't trust the banks. The Federal Reserve basically controls the money printer, how much money is printed, what's the interest rate, etc., etc. And a lot of people think that them in connection with Wall Street, basically They're just running a big, giant financial racket. So I think this is why people threw so many billions and billions of dollars, trillions of dollars into the crypto market. Can't all just be criminals. A lot of people just wanted something that's outside of the system because they felt that the system was against them. And I kind of agree with that. And I think that's why a lot of people initially started throwing their money into cryptocurrency or Bitcoin in particular. Now, on top of all this distrust, basically, we see that a lot of different companies are starting to issue their own kind of guidances, regulations, whatever you want to call them, where we have seen different people basically get censored or blacklisted from the financial systems, traditional financial systems. The Canada were a perfect example. I'm not saying I agree with everything, but what I'm saying is some people just want to have the ultimate freedom. So with this giant distrust of the banks, with CBDCs coming out in the near future, some are already here, a lot of people are thinking that, hey, this distrust that we already have with the current financial banking system, well, that distrust is just going to get even bigger. Because of course, the CBDCs are programmable, things can be, let's say, controlled a lot simpler. So what if you lose some social credit scores? You don't know what could happen. You don't know what could happen to your money. And your money is your livelihood. Your money, your family's money, is your bloodline, essentially. It is how people feed themselves and their loved ones. So it's kind of a big deal if that is controlled by someone who disagrees with you for whatever reason. So potentially allowing a third party to make financial decisions for you and your loved ones and your family, well, a lot of people would not agree with that. On top of that, some people speculate that CBDCs could even have an expiration date, which is pretty insane. Essentially, this would promote kind of a consumer culture and even penalize anyone who saves their money. Now, what I find interesting about that is it's kind of like an allowance for, a teenager. So this concept of CBDCs versus something like Bitcoin is why some people basically become paranoid about someone else controlling what they should do with their finances. What I find kind of funny about all this is if that were to be the case, right? If CBDCs were to be programmable by the powers that be, if they say you can only get this or you can only buy that, if you are person A or person B, if they are preventing or penalizing savings or any kind of spending, essentially people, adults, would be treated like babies. And that is pretty insane. Financial insanity, I think, would ensue. Because no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, no matter where the hell you grew up, and no matter what you think, whether you're blue or red, nobody, for the most part, nobody wants to be treated like a damn baby. And that's the whole premise for something like crypto or Bitcoin, this like dream of something decentralized that's outside of what's deemed the respectable mainstream. So maybe people buy into the mythology of Bitcoin or crypto because they want to escape that kind of racket from the banks. Because I know for a fact, a lot of people see banking or Wall Street or financial institutions, people see them as some kind of repressive institutions that are now becoming outdated, outmoded, almost like the jig is up. Almost like too many people know that it's a scam. Too many people know that it's a racket. And we're all on the losing end, that's for sure. Now, not to sound a little crazy or anything, but I've always kind of held this belief that those in power of the financial institutions, those are the true power players of the world. It's not the politicians. They're just, they just talk and talk. As long as you pay them, they will say whatever the hell you want. But my point is, if the true people with power have access to the money printer, that is real power because you control the money, you control basically everyone's lives. You control the value of what they can get or not get. But that's why I think people have basically, embraced Bitcoin or crypto or whatever. Now, here comes the irony, here comes the bad news, is that someone also had to print or mint Bitcoin and or any other kind of cryptocurrency, which means you're also buying into what they're making, what they're printing out of thin air. It's almost like which illusion you want to jump on board, you know? But to defend some aspects of Bitcoin, if I were, for example, in Turkey or Argentina or somewhere in Africa, I would probably see it as a really nice escape, as a safety net where I can store my money, even though it's chaotically volatile. It's still better than the local currency losing 150% of its value. So, you know, it's kind of a problematic thing. Here in the West, where our inflation is relatively low compared to some other parts of the world, even though it's still damn high, we don't see the benefits of having something that's kind of outside of the system as much as somebody, let's say, in Argentina, or in a place or location that potentially the government can just unbank you and or ban you from financial services, freeze all your wealth, steal whatever they want. So yes, there are some benefits because you can easily hide this and maybe send it to somebody else ASAP before they can take it away from you. And of course, let's not forget that everybody thinks that the dollar is basically weaponized. So if the dollar is weaponized against other countries, well, who's to say that the CBDCs or digital dollar can't be weaponized against groups or individuals, even in the United States? Sounds like a pretty crazy scenario, but we've already seen it. Multiple examples of it. Very, very, very likely to happen with CBDCs. So it is a pretty interesting thought game. But the realization that the times that we're living in are pretty chaotic, no matter who the figurehead is, basically, they're all about themselves. And many people have begun to understand that the rules that apply to us, right, don't apply to them. That's for sure. And the same people that are running the racket, basically, they're able to do whatever the hell they want. We've seen that in the last few years. Because while there's rules in place, right? Well, rules don't apply to them. They certainly apply to you and me. I go rob a bank, I get in trouble. They are robbing the country and, well, they're running the show. Of course, another major issue is, well, digital dollar, CBDCs, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, well, they can all just be shut off by the internet. If there's a war and the internet goes down, of course, nobody would care about cryptocurrency. So essentially, any entity that works off the internet, whether it's CBDCs, Bitcoin, or whatever else, anything that works as money, anything that you can trade for food and shelter can basically be shut down. And that's pretty obvious. And of course, I'm not saying that any kind of gold or whatever is the answer. All I'm just saying is that things can be shut down. But people put their money into something like crypto or Bitcoin because they can see the racket being so obvious. And 2008 was a perfect example of that. And now the money printer going crazy is another example. Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars just given away. Nonetheless, this is not a sales pitch for Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, especially not any other crypto. All I'm saying is that a lot of people have lost billions and billions of dollars. Scam Sam, perfect example of a thief who stole billions of dollars because people have blindly wanted something else to believe in, even if that was bull. So are people just easily fooled? Maybe they are. Maybe I was easily fooled too. But maybe, just a lot of people want an honest alternative to the racket. And unfortunately, there aren't that many. But is any of this the real answer to the human desire not to participate in a giant racket? I don't know. Some say Bitcoin is hope. Other people, some people who may have a point, have come to the realizations that cryptocurrency can be tracked, matched and linked with your IP address, cell phone number, name, physical addresses, and more. Of course, not everything is created equally, but nonetheless, this mythology that cryptocurrency is totally hidden from the powers that be is just not true. That the Federal Reserve is going to let people hide any kind of competition to the CBDC digitally where they can't access and basically tax you to death. There's no way. They're not going to let this happen. You may have very negative opinions of banking or Fed Reserve, but they are not dummies. That is a fact. But in the grand scheme of things, hopefully people have learned from the digital Ponzi schemes, because there's tons of them. WorldCoin is just one of the latest examples. I'm still shocked that anyone would do that. Anyways, that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Smash like if you haven't. Please do subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.